What I want to talk about today is some of the expanding work that we're doing in our program countries. Jared, what do you do at Plant with Purpose? What's your focus?
I'm a member of our international programs team. I spend most of my time meeting with, communicating with our international partners. So we're working in 9 countries right now. And in all cases, we are working with a local organization, locally registered, locally staffed, locally led, locally governed. And we are in a covenant of partnership with them. And we work together very collaboratively to further our mission. It can be quite challenging, especially when you consider places like the DRC, where you have conflict and now you have an Ebola outbreak. But it's very fulfilling work because we get to see that families living in very rural areas that depend on their land for survival are able to do more than just survive. Their lives are changing.
So we're working in all these countries. The teams that we're working with are not working on the whole country all at once. We work in watersheds.
I had no idea what a watershed was. I'll be the first to admit, because pretty much every piece of land is a watershed, whether small within a larger one within a larger one. And it's pretty much every geographic area that the precipitation, whether rainfall or snow that melts, flows into the same outlet, usually like a river or a lake or an ocean. Plant with Purpose, we wish we had the resources. We wish we had the ability to work in like extremely large areas, but also it's not the most effective way to deploy our resources. And so we work in what we call subwatersheds. It's a very manageable area, but it also is very specifically connected ecologically, economically, culturally. There's a cohesion there.
We don't work in every watershed in a country. We're really selective about what watersheds we feel like we can do our best work in partnership with people there. So how does your team select a watershed?
Pretty much in every country we work in, we find that there's so much opportunity for our program to support and help communities and households change their environment, change their lives. We can't work everywhere, right? I'll use Burundi as an example. Pretty much everybody in Burundi, it being one of the most food insecure countries in the world, one of the most deforested countries in the world, we can't work everywhere in that country. And so what we do to kind of hone in on where's the greatest opportunity for us to achieve our goals with the communities, with our local partners, further our mission, create lasting change. We go through a process that we call opportunity mapping, where essentially we map the entirety of the country and we use an opportunity index, which is made up of primarily 3 things. It's looking at poverty, deforestation, and it's looking at landscape. Our target is rural households, rural farming families, like the highest concentration of poverty, deforestation, and landscape. And when I say landscape, we're really talking about like very slopey land, kind of mountainous terrain, very difficult. And so once we kind of land on an area and we say, the index is saying this is a great area for us to consider. The local team does some ground truthing. They go and they maybe do a visit, or they have local indexes and local data that they can access. And so then once we kind of land on this is the area we want to consider, we've got 10 potential watersheds in this area. We're going to assess 5 of them. At that point, we do what we call a community readiness assessment. And really the name says it. Right? We're trying to determine with the community and assess how ready they are to partner with us. And we have what we call a focus group or a workshop with representatives of the community of this watershed. And we talk to them. Really the goal of that is this is the first step in the process. This is the first step in them starting to think of what change could be possible. And so it's not just an assessment of the readiness, it's actually the first step in the change process, right? It's the first step in our program where we're trying to say we're starting here and we want to get to here. The way that we work is different than a lot of, relief and emergency kind of aid where you're really just helping people that are in crisis. We're coming in, after the fact and saying, okay, what do people already have? People already have agency. People have it, whether they realize it or not, they have it, right? People have assets, they have gifts, they have talents, but maybe their identity has been negatively affected by the fact that in their context, if you're a rural farmer, you're considered a peasant and you don't have very much value. You're insignificant. And maybe those are some of the reasons why they've been having, their circumstances are quite difficult. How ready are these families to use their assets?
This is something you're doing a lot of right now. Uh, we're expanding this year. Plant with Purpose is expanding. What is the expansion that we're looking at in terms of watersheds and people we're working with? And what are you excited about when you think about what that expansion means?
I get really excited because for Plant with Purpose, we've been implementing the watershed program model for about 10 or more years now. And we've learned a lot. And we're at the point where we're like in the next act, right, of the story. And it's an exciting one because we've gone from how we do things, where we've been working, and now we're ready to grow. Where's the greatest opportunity we have in Burundi? Where's the greatest opportunity we have in Haiti? If we're going to choose a watershed, what watershed is that? Where can we have the greatest impact for the populations there? So we're really excited. I think our growth will probably be somewhere between 10 to 20% in terms of like number of watersheds, which, it's a lot of people.
It's a lot of energy to get these watersheds up and running, even with the tools and knowledge experience we have from the past. So we'll be praying together for this expansion and also just celebrating together what God is doing to expand the work of Plant with Purpose. So thank you for your work, Jared. I really appreciate what you and your team are doing and just the collective impact. The way that you said poverty is not just one thing, it's a multifaceted thing that we measure. And to see that poverty get cut by 55% in our watersheds on average, and then to think about expanding into all these other areas and knowing that kind of transformation is possible,
Yeah.
is really exciting.